What is going on, people? Welcome back to the first 2025 episode of Game and Talk. We have familiar faces, we have new faces on here. Nate is recording, which means that he must know something, so he was unavailable tonight. Celia has some personal issues going on. Josie is sick. But we came through and I was like, you know what? Let's have a little special guest on here. Let's have a little special guest. And we have the guest of honor, Sun Bro Nation. How we doing, broski?
What's up, Sean? What's up, Josie? Thanks for having me on, guys. I'm excited to be here. We got plenty to talk about, I'm sure.
Plenty.
Honestly, it couldn't have been a better time for me to be invited on because I'm sure not even one of the topics tonight is going to be like a stretch or, is there really enough Nintendo stuff going on to talk about this week? Like, it's been wild. So I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. Thanks for coming on. And Josie, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm back at my normal place and I've been playing Shenmue, which is good. I don't
Where
hate it. I don't think it's
where
terrible.
where are you at?
I am trying to talk to the sailor right now.
You're trying to find the sailors at the harbor.
I
Um,
I found them so many times and then he's just chilling in the arcade and I don't know how to get the game to recognize that I found him.
those aren't sailors. I know who you're talking about. Those
That's
are
not him.
no. Um,
Oh, okay.
uh,
Shit. Well,
Maybe I'll give you a hint. I actually, in the time that you've started that game, I beat it again. That's the first game I beat in 2025 because I bought a modded Dreamcast and I fucking love it. It's so awesome. But I'm glad you are playing Shenmue. I'm glad you are enjoying the story, and it gets continually better. But we're not here to talk about Shenmue. Although I could talk about Shenmue for the next hour. We're here to talk about the Nintendo Switch 2 because boy, oh boy, has there been quite a avalanche of information. It seems like companies are a little sick and a little tired of waiting for Nintendo to make their move, to make the announcement. And although we haven't seen games or anything like that, we've pretty much seen, everything else that this system has to offer. So I guess we should start more so towards the beginning. Not we'll get into the CES stuff and the stuff that's been happening within the last 24 hours, but I want to talk about, I guess, the actual hardware from what we've seen itself based on that. And I think the most interesting thing thus far is really a twofold thing, but they both involve the Joy-Cons. The Joy-Cons, really, there's three interesting parts, but the magnetic stuff, we've seen that. That's been heavily rumored, this, that, and the other. Josie got drunk and fell out of her chair because she was so excited for it. But I want to talk about the C button, because this is what everyone is puzzled over. And this is obviously what the gimmick of the system is going to be. I want to know, Josie, you go first. What do you think the C button is? In case you are unfamiliar, here is a aftermarket Joy-Con, but on this aftermarket Joy-Con, you have a home button. There's also a turbo button on this one as well. But there is now a C button on the right-hand side of the Joy-Con. Every controller that we have seen for this system also incorporates the C button. So the C button is important. Josie, what do you think the C button is?
I think it's the cast button. You cast it from your Switch to the TV. I called this like months ago. I made a video when nobody was talking about it like casting yet, and I'm pretty sure that's the gimmick. It feels like I don't know what else it could be that makes sense for something you would need to have like on the controller all the time. You know? Like
Now,
why
when
would
you
you
say what do you say cast? What do you mean? Do you mean negating the need for a dock? Like
No,
you're in a
like you have a dock, but you also have your Switch in your hand. Is what I envision is that you can basically hit that button and you can use the Switch almost like a Wii U gamepad for some games. They don't have to have like crazy compatibility. It can still just be like a controller, but for games like Mario Maker or if we want to like bring back the DS or the 3DS games, like it makes a lot of sense to have an option for dual screen gaming. Um and I think like as long as it doesn't take everything over, it'd be awesome. So that's my guess. I obviously don't know exactly what, but I'm assuming it's a C for cast.
Sunbro, what do you think?
Well, Josie, your pick is actually my favorite idea and what I hope it is. But unfortunately, I don't think Nintendo's going to be that cool to us this time. I hope they do. And it would also solve for DS emulation on Nintendo Switch Online if it's cast. We
Yeah.
need a touchscreen. But my personal idea is that the only things that I have with cast is I think one, battery life is a factor because you're going to be casting from your Switch, presumably in handheld mode. You have multiple charger ports maybe, so you could leave it plugged in, but I don't know if Nintendo's like ready to do that yet. And I also question latency. If it probably wouldn't be as like streamlined as the Wii U, since the Wii U was the console plugged into the TV and then streaming to the tablet type of thing. So I want it to be cast, but what I think it actually is community or connect or something to the effect of we're finally going to have a section in the operating system that if you hit that C button, it's a chat center, community center, shows you your friends, you can DM them, you can hop into party chat. I don't know if you guys saw some of the accessory manufacturers and the shipping data for the Switch 2. There is a microphone in this thing apparently. So if they're putting a microphone on board on the console itself, it seems to me like that's probably not just exclusively for gameplay, although it could be. But I think Nintendo knows they're finally in 2025 and it's time to do things like on system party chat and have you be able to send messages and talk to friends and stuff. And so my personal speculation is community connect or whatever it ends up being, is command center, whatever that is, but it's like basically your party hub, like what you have on PlayStation and Xbox. And then I would like to point out, because I just read this for tomorrow's video, which is kind of interesting, that one of the Genki, which I'm sure we're going to get to this, but one of the Genki accessory manufacturers, or one of the people there, said that all the accessory manufacturers they have talked to thinks the C means camera. And that's like the speculation, which we did have that one Chinese YouTuber post the video of like the first mock-up Switch, and she said it was for like a USB-C camera attachment. So that's in the back of my mind, but also on the less likely side. But I'm just hoping Nintendo finally like freaking gives us on system party chat, and I hope it's for that. So
now I do know that talking with some people that there is indeed a gimmick with this system, and from I want to say a month ago or so, according to this individual, nobody had correctly guessed what the gimmick is. I think both of those ideas it's probably going to be one or the other. I would like the Wii or the Wii U sort of thing to it, because I'm thinking about Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition, and I'm like, that's going to be awesome. But that bottom screen was really good for that game. And obviously, there's been lots of ports of Wii U games to the Switch that, sort of negated the need for it. But I think, it'd be kind of cool to lean into that. Like, give me a Mario Paint or something like that. Like, I don't understand why Mario Paint had one game on the Super Nintendo, some Nintendo DD or 64 DD games that were kind of weird, but like the Mario Paint on there is actually like really cool. You could do some really wild stuff with it. I need to make a video on that. But the one holdup I have with community is, somebody mentioned it in the chat. Let's see. Why not use a more universal thing than an English word? Because unless Nintendo comes up with what are you doing, Josie? You throwing up? You sick? What are you doing? Unless
I'm
Nintendo,
blowing my nose. I can't do it.
No, blow it on camera. Come on, that's
so
people pay to
gross.
see that.
Yeah, they should have to pay. Patreon.com/Spawncast.
What was I saying? Like, unless Nintendo comes up with a word like contendo or like for the community or some shit like that. Like, I don't know. I like that it is a mystery, though. I think mysteries are super fun, and obviously we're gonna find out, sooner rather than later on it. But yeah, I think those are both really good ideas. Before we move on, Vampire Slayer coming through with a $20 dono. Happy 2025. Glad everyone is here. Josie, it's good to see you alive and not on fire. Sorry you're sick. Sean, keep going with Shenmue. No, Josie's playing Shenmue. I'm done with Shenmue. I'm just here for the predictions. I really want a Switch that makes me a sandwich. I think that's what we all really really want out of this. See, Carlos has a booger fetish. Let's go.
Why do you highlight those messages?
Because they're interesting. So moving on. The next thing I want to talk about with the Joy-Con itself is, what do we think about the weird red IR sensor thing that is clearly a thing? Like, you can't debate this really anymore. There is something going on with it. If in case you are unaware, here is the rail for a standard aftermarket Joy-Con. There, in the new one, there is a little square, and in it is a red infrared sensor light of some sort. Now, a lot of people are saying that this could be some sort of mouse support, and that was something that had been rumored before. How do we feel about the mouse potentially being a thing? We'll start off with Sunbro this time.
Yeah, I think it's actually a thing. I was already in that mindset that once the that we saw that one supposed factory leak of the Joy-Con that looks legit, where it's just held up to the side, it's clear that that's like an optical sensor. And I don't know, it was that Reddit dude, I think, Next Handheld, who was saying, like, way before that Joy-Con picture leaked, he was saying that there's some kind of new orientation of the Joy-Con that's a big gameplay gimmick that's new to the Switch 2. And everybody was like, a special orientation of the Joy-Con? That doesn't make any sense. And then we see that thing. And then further on, we see the Genki like render where they have it flashing red as if it is just straight up a mouse sensor. I'm like, dude, you completely, Nintendo's going to do a pointer option, which, you know, that you talk about a Mario Maker, you talk about, you know, something like even RTS games, or what gets me excited is not so much using the Joy-Con like that, but like, you know, we know Call of Duty is coming to Switch. The amount of people that would be like super pumped if there was third-party aftermarket mouse accessories that you could buy that just straight up you have mouse and keyboard gameplay on Call of Duty on a Switch 2. Like that would be crazy, and I actually think that would be something that Nintendo could pull off and market. Not to mention, if they do it, and I don't know they will, if they put on like a full scale web browser onto this thing and marketed it as like, you can also in tabletop mode conveniently scroll through websites and stuff like that and have full mouse and keyboard if you want to, / put it on your TV and do that. It's more functionality. And I also wonder if, like, RGT, you mentioned, you know, about hearing about a specific gimmick. Like, I wonder if it's that. I do think C button's obviously something else. I don't think that's tied necessarily to the optical sensor, but I wonder if the big gimmick or the new feature is that.
Yeah, I mean, because and not to say that it'll be like an exact replica of like a mouse or something like that, although it could be, but I feel like that kind of opens the doors for a variety of different game types as well, you know, especially like RTS games, like, you know, where you got to, you know, drop and drag stuff like that. I feel like that would allow for potential creativity from Nintendo themselves. Before we get into Josie's answer, Vampire Slayer. Josie, I'm paying to watch you blow on stream. I mean, blow your nose. Keep your mind out of the gutter. Do you think Joy-Cons will be magnetic? See, people are paying to watch you blow your nose. I do think they're magnetic. I think that's pretty much a foregone conclusion at this point, and that's what the button, the release button is as well. Josie, what do you think about this little laser?
I agree. It's probably for a mouse thing. I think it could also maybe be used as, like, you know, the Wii sensor for motion controls.
Mhm.
Like, could that be part of it? I was sort of thinking like maybe it was like an additive motion thing.
Well, they have, like, you know, because the Switch Joy-Cons do have an IR sensor in them, and you know, because
Yeah.
you can do motion controls to sort of mimic. I wonder if it's a more advanced form of that as well.
Yeah.
You know,
That's what I'm thinking.
you know, something that's a little bit more accurate, because I am someone who tries motion controls from time to time, but you really got to dial it in, especially on the Switch, as opposed to, you know, the Wii, which was, you know, kind of a different form of motion control. I mean, the sensor bar really was nothing. It was just, you know, a light receiver essentially to figure out where you were holding your Joy-Con. But I do like the idea of it being, on camera woman. I do like the idea of it being, something like that. I think that opens up the doors to creativity, that opens up the doors to different types of games, and that opens up the doors to different uses for the system. I understand we all have phones, we all have laptops, we all have this crap. Sometimes it's nice to be able to do multiple things on one device, though. One of the things I love about my Xbox is that I can turn it on and I can use it to watch NBA League Pass and like bada boom. I don't have to go into the app on my television. I just turn on my X. If I get bored watching a game, I exit out and then I play a game or something like that. I enjoy multifunctional types of hardware. And I think the more functionality, because really, I mean, the Wii and the Wii U had pretty damn good functionality, especially for the time that they released. And it felt like the Switch was kind of a step back in terms of that. And I hope that, I hope that we get sort of a little advancement in terms of that. And speaking of other things, the freaking motherboard leaked, and I made a video on it. And then I was talking to someone and I was uploading a video last night, and I realized I was uploading the wrong video onto my channel. And I thought I was deleting the wrong video that I uploaded onto my channel. But instead, I deleted my video talking about the fucking motherboard. I wasn't very happy with that. I screamed a lot and I punched things in my house. But luckily, everything is going to be okay. But the motherboard itself has leaked. We've all kind of seen it. And then Digital Foundry came along and did their little analysis on it. And, they basically gave a see, the problem is, Spyro Jones, I wasn't very multifunctional doing that upload last night. The interesting thing, of course, is that they say essentially PS4 Pro, maybe not, maybe more in line with a PS4, but with additional things such as ray tracing and, various effects, and then DLSS. How's that going to be different? I don't think anyone was necessarily expecting things to be at a Xbox Series X or a PlayStation 5 or PS5 Pro level with this system. To me, I still think PlayStation 4 base. I never upgraded to a PS4 Pro. So The Last of Us Part 2, Final Fantasy 7 Remake, I played all of those on my PS4, and I still think they all look fucking great. Do they look a little bit better on the newer system? Of course. But is it that much of a difference to where I'm like, wow, I really want to re-go through this? This isn't like a texture pack for an N64 game. This isn't like, taking a Dreamcast game that didn't have VGA support and then forcing VGA support and then playing it on, in 480p mode and be like, wow, this looks so much better. Like, I don't think we're at that point anymore with these generational differences. And if it's at a PS4 level in terms of raw power with additional features that are only available with more modern technology, not 2013 PS4 technology, I think that's more than enough, especially with the wild card being the DLSS. Josie, what do you think?
Like power-wise, when we're talking?
Did you listen to my diatribe?
I mean, I did. I listened to all of it, but you hit on so many things. I think PS4 power is probably like what, obviously what you said, it's going to happen. I don't have a problem with it. I think Nintendo does well when they have like limited things. Like, I don't know, they don't need to be like this big powerhouse of a console, really. I just don't have a problem with it. I think it should be pretty easy. And like you said, with the DLSS and all the upscaling that they're going to include, it's not that big of a deal, in my opinion. What do you think, Sunbro?
Yeah, so this was kind of funny when Digital Foundry made their comments to me, because one, I do think it revealed how many people actually somehow by, some miracle were expecting online to see like a PS5 or Series X at a $400 or $500 price point in a portable console. Like, first of all, we're not there, especially in terms of raw compute power. But also, nobody paid attention to what Digital Foundry said at like the end of their comments, which was like, everybody was freaking out the exact same about the Tegra X1 and the clock speeds, or like that. Literally, this same conversation played out whenever they said Nintendo's going to make a hybrid system, and then everyone's like, it's not going to be powerful enough. I can't believe they're falling behind Sony and Microsoft again. And so I'm just like, yeah, when you have developers developing a game specifically for your system, and let's say it's base PS4 and raw compute power, but then you have DLSS and a more modern architecture and 12 gigabytes of RAM, which I feel like nobody's mentioning in that conversation, which is more than the Series S. I think you're going to be fine to run most modern day games, AAA or not. And personally, for me, that's where I fell out of thinking. I don't think, honestly, like PS5 Pro and above and going like further in visuals, it's almost just frustrated me as a gamer, because now I feel like these hyper realistic visuals just cause us to wait 8 years in between major game releases. And now we're sitting here going a full console generation without a new installment in our favorite franchise. So if Nintendo's going to do more of the PS4 base power, but with modern, ray tracing and DLSS and all that, and they get it to look good enough for the next 5 to 7 years, I don't care if games go past that visual fidelity level anyway from here. So I'm all for it. But the complaint will be is, since Nintendo's releasing this so late into the current life cycle, by time PS6 and the next Series Xbox comes out, maybe it can't run those third-party games. Like, will this thing run GTA 6? Like that's a coin toss. Like, maybe if Rockstar really puts in some work, but maybe it doesn't. So I get the perspective on like why some people are upset, but I don't think everybody needs to be worried. And I think once we see like the launch trailer and it's like, Elden Ring and Alan Wake 2 and all of these different games that are just modern AAA running on it, I don't think people are gonna be talking about the power level too much anymore.
See, I think what's interesting about that is
I just think this is interesting that battery life is a factor, because I feel like they might have pared it down as well because battery life,
Well, I think from some speculation from people who have gotten things right in the past and have gotten things wrong, I think they said 3 hours in handheld mode, which
I heard that too.
Yeah. So I mean, that works. There are a couple comments that I want to read that I find interesting, but what's interesting about the one thing that you said about like PS6 and Xbox consoles,
Xbox Prime, right? No.
Yeah, but see, like, I don't think the Xbox Prime is the next. I really think that it's going to be
their streaming box or something,
some weird thing, and I don't think PS6 is 2028. 2029, right. Maybe. Like the problem is like you said, games are taking so long because they have these hyperinflated budgets, they have these hyperinflated metrics that they have to hit, and specific styles and graphics and crap like that. I really think this is going to be one of the longest console generations ever. You're still seeing PS4 games. WWE 2K25, a big AAA third-party game, is coming to the PlayStation 4, a system from 2013. I mean, I really think we're a few years away from those systems. So and even if we get to those systems, what are you gonna do? Like, what are you actually going to do? Because people in here, Sergey, running Unreal Engine 5 is a great achievement for them. And then somebody, Nady says, I feel like nobody can run Unreal Engine 5 properly. And that's kind of accurate. There are, Unreal Engine 5 hasn't been exactly as seamless as, people have anticipated. And we've heard 2 years ago that the Matrix demo was running on the Switch 2 along with Final Fantasy VII Remake. So if they're able to get stuff like that, because honestly, there hasn't been a game that's looked as visually impressive as that Matrix demo did. And I mean, True. We still got a ways to go. Pinto says 1080p 60 frames per second should be the minimum norm. It should be, but the problem is that developers never got that message, because you have the PlayStation 5 Pro where many games are still not 60 frames per second. They might be 4 fucking K or 4K ray tracing, 40 frames per second. It's like, no, stop it. I think all your first party Nintendo games are going to be minimum 1080p 60 frames per second, because a lot of them, well, I shouldn't say all, but I would say a vast majority of them, a vast majority of the ones on the Switch, some of them hit that, some of them were like 900p and then 720p in handheld mode. But with the new system, the new screen being 1080p instead, and there's been a lot of people that have talked about that too. They're like, oh, why is it only 1080p? Why isn't it 4K? A 4K 8-inch screen is pointless. You're not gonna notice a major difference in any sort of thing like that. And plus it's gonna zap the battery to death. But I really think that, it, in terms of raw horsepower, yeah, it won't be the same. But what are you doing in the dark now? What happened?
I don't know. My light everything's going bad because
Are
I'm
you hiding
sick,
for
man.
someone?
No, my light just. One sec.
Somebody's stalking you. And I mean, and one more thing before we kind of move on to all of the CES hoopla is, I think a lot of people tend to forget that, yes, third-party games come to Nintendo platforms, but people buy a Nintendo platform for those first-party games. Look at the best-selling Switch games every month, and 9 times out of 10, 9 out of those 10 games are going to be first-party games. So, getting that new Mario, because people can say whatever they want about Nintendo's 2024. That shit was mid. Okay, it was mid. There was nothing crazy, very safe. Echoes of Wisdom had potential to be great, but that inventory management system just knocked it down to good for me. Brothership, everyone's going crazy over Wood's video of Brothership. He's right. I don't understand that you can't just, you don't have to accept everything in life. If you go to McDonald's and you get a shitty burger, do you suck it down because you love McDonald's and you love eating at McDonald's? No, you'll be like, yo, this burger sucks. Let me get another one. Or no, I'm not going to go to McDonald's anymore. I'm going to go to Burger King. Have it my way. Flame broiled, not fried. And like, that's a whole topic for another day. That 2024 was not great. Mid. It was good. It was as good as high as I will allow. Good as high as I will.
No, I agree. It's not great.
Anything beyond good is crazy talk.
Yeah, it was just a lot of remasters and stuff too. Like it wasn't any brand new original games other than Echoes of Wisdom, which I liked a lot. But
Donnie, I'm not trying to be mean here, Donnie. I need to know. It was good. Yeah, it's good and mid. Donnie, I need to know your age and how many previous Mario and Luigi games you have played. And I will take that into consideration with your analysis of that game being great. I think that's more than fair. And while we're waiting for that interesting information, Keith, if you want to hop on in it too, you can hop in. I need your age and your previous knowledge of the franchise, what games you have played. Moving on, while we get that vital information, we did have a new channel member a while back that I completely, Commander CMDR. Thank you for that. And Medallion re-upping his membership for 9 months. C for Celia, a shortcut to the Yacht Club section of the eShop. Yeah, that's another reason why she's not here, because she can't. Some things she can't really talk about. Still waiting for some ages and previous experiences, please. DVD night, $1.99. I meant to say DVD night 1, and then I just kind of
$1, Bob. No.
I just kind of went on with it with $1.99. Great to see Sunbro on the podcast. Glad to have him on here. Roger, Vampire. How did I miss all these donations? I must have been on a speech. Keith Powell, your previous experience with the franchise. Sean, punching things solves nothing. That's incorrect. While fun and slightly not effective, it solves nothing. I've said this before. If Nintendo and third parties utilize DLSS properly, the system is going to be killer. Oh, you already answered me? I didn't see it. Thank you, Vampire Slayer. 42 and played them all. You know what? I'll give you a little bit of a pass then. I'll give you a little bit of a pass. We can agree to disagree. Because if you're a kid, I was going to fucking no. And then we have CES. CES 2025, where companies just said, fuck it. We're tired of waiting. We're tired of we have our own things to do. C for CES. That's what the button is for, because CES has been crazy. And you want to know what the craziest thing is? Before we even talk about the CES stuff, from what I've been told, this is tip of the iceberg stuff. This is tip of the iceberg stuff. This is just public stuff. The stuff that's been going on in private, the conversations that have been had in private are on a whole nother level. But at CES, you have a couple different manufacturers there for Switch accessories. And the one constant with all of these Switch accessories is the fact that they all look extremely, extremely similar. Now, there was a train of thought that I kind of talked about, where I was like, all right, you either everyone's working together, or there's a reason why all of these designs are looking the same. And then Genki was just kind of, because we had, Satisfy and D brand, because when it was just like the random Chinese company, it's kind of like, it's kind of hard to trace it. But when you got companies like Satisfy, when you have companies like D brand, when you have companies like Genki, established companies that have released products for prior systems coming out and being like, hey, here's our products. Because Genki just went all out with this. They had a freaking little book where you could, look through it and see all these different controllers and stuff that they had. They had a display for Joycon charging. They had a case for the Switch 2 that basically shows the size of the system. Now, they did confirm, because I know some people were like, oh, it's a real Switch 2. They did confirm that it was like a fabricated thing that simulates the size and scope of the system. But they just went all out here. And they're just like, yeah, this is what we're doing. This is what's going on. And these are the products. You got to look at the products. All of the products, of course, had a C button on there. I did see Mattify. Yeah, like the Memphis said, T is just a turbo button. If you look here on this controller, there is a nice T button on here. And some people are like, well, Nintendo's going to get mad about this. Nintendo's going to get mad about this. But I don't necessarily think that's the case at all. As Josie blows her nose off camera. Are you doing blow off camera? Let me see. Give me a little nostril shot here.
Energy if I was.
Give me a little nostril. Make sure there's no white powder. How do you know what that does? All right, that's clear. Mark, what do you take away from all of this stuff? Because obviously the level of validity has skyrocketed now with actual stuff in hand and designs and multiple controllers. What are you taking away from CES?
I've thought about it a few different ways. One perspective is like these companies, they've known about the launch window so long from Nintendo that they're like, we're going to start producing or start manufacturing our accessories. We want to start marketing them. So they're trying to, one, just get publicity themselves, knowing that Switch 2 topics are going to get, picked up ahead of time before Nintendo has officially revealed the console, which is definitely working, because I've talked about Genki like 2 days in a row on videos and everybody's talking about them online. So I see that perspective, but it's like, how did they get this stuff? Because I don't know if you saw there was one of the French journalists or whatever was talking to the Genki representative, and they just like straight up said that they got like a Switch 2 on the black market. That's actually what they said. They said, if you pay the money, you can just get a actual console. The D brand CEO 3D scan, that sounded way more believable to me, like somebody from a factory that they have a contact with, because they're in manufacturing also. We're like, hey, I'll get you the exact dimensions of this console so you can start making your accessories. Because the question is how are these companies not under NDA, right? If they were officially briefed from Nintendo and they had like that kind of whatever we heard months and months back, where Nintendo showed up and they put their hands in an opaque box and couldn't see the console, but were able to feel it. Was that where they got the dimensions and Nintendo did share that to them? And then if Nintendo did that, they can't really be mad about these companies talking if they weren't under NDA. And maybe they're not mad. Maybe this is free promotion. But it's weird. It's weird to see accessory companies just straight up say this is the console, make 3D renders and promotional videos showing off features that Nintendo hasn't talked about, like an optical mouse sensor, and then just have a show floor advertising. Like, the reason people showed up to that Genki booth was because, hey, we got the Switch 2 mock-up stuff. We can answer any questions you want to hear about Switch 2. And then here's the booklet and everything else. So it's wild, man. I don't know exactly if I figured out in my head like what my theory is around how this happened. There's a part of like the back of my mind that wants to believe that there was once a planned launch for 2024, like we saw those, reports about, and then, NDAs expired and Nintendo, somebody dropped the ball and not like extending those out. And that's why all this is happening. But these aren't first party licensed partners either. They're like third party accessory manufacturers. So it's also possible that in the circles that they are in within factories, the stuff's just getting out and leaking out, and they're buying whatever they have to buy so they can get brand recognition. And that's kind of where I'm more leaning towards of how this happened. But yeah, it's wild to see. And the mock-ups is the sheer amount of companies that have had the same mock-up. That is what the console is going to look like. If it's anything different than that, I will be shocked. So yeah, I think we got to look at the Switch too early this time around.
I actually have some breaking news as well.
Whoa.
According to GameStop,
Switch 2 micro. Oh wow, the express cards like we've been hearing about. Yep.
The Joycon charger grip is popping up, and as someone who did work at GameStop, that is the file or the text that they do use with this. Looks like they're using the same system nearly from 20 years ago. You could see some various Switch items underneath here as well. So, I think here's my thing, and I actually talk about this in tomorrow's video. So a bit of a spoiler here, but go watch the video anyways, or else I'll haunt all of you in your sleep. So my thing is, you could look at it from a perspective. Oh, they're trying to be, first to the gun. They're trying to be, they're trying to be first so that they get brand recognition and stuff like that. But in my mind, I'm like, that kind of makes sense. But if this thing is coming out in the fall or in the second half of the year, why are you blowing your load now? Why would you be showing all of this stuff off now? Because now you're going to fall into the out of sight, out of mind. Yeah, people might think of you closer to the release of the system, but some other company is going to come along and be like, look at our stuff. And then they're going to be fresh in your mind. But something happened today to me that now has me kind of on the potential for the April window. And that is because I will not name the company, but a reputable company, a company that I actually own one of their products for another thing that I bought in my house, reached out to me today and wants to do a sponsor spot for their Nintendo Switch 2 accessories. Now, if you know anything about YouTube, if this thing's coming out in 7 months or so, a company's not reaching out to me today to talk about that. Usually 3 months, maybe 4 months at most, but 7 months, no, we're not talking until closer to the run up of this. So that honestly changed my mind quite a bit on this. And once again, if this was random company from China or whatever, okay, that's one thing. This is a company I've bought something from before on Amazon. If you look deep enough, you'll find some Switch 2 related things with them as well. So that kind of changed my mind completely. The fact that they're already sending out feelers, the fact that they already told me like what products they want me to show off. I'm kind of like, fuck, man. maybe I'll have to take an L. Maybe I'll have to take an L on this fall thing. Josie, what do you think about the madness that has been transpiring at Consumer Electronics Show 2025?
I think you guys have touched on a lot of it, but how soon does this thing have to be announced in order for it to come out in April? There's no way they do that quick of a turnaround time, right? I'm thinking like June, because like even at the latest they announce it like March 31st, right? Because they have to say something before then. like it makes a little bit more sense for some time to pass. But like, you think they're gonna announce it and turn over in the next month or two?
I think they're gonna announce it in the next week or two.
You think you think we're getting it in January?
Because I'm just fucking spoiling my video for tomorrow, but I will lead into that in just a second with the proof as to why I think that. But yes, I was definitely of the mindset that it was just going to happen whenever. Maybe January, maybe the end of January, more than likely, February or something like that. Get Donkey Kong out of the way. But now I'm on board with probably not this week, but I think next week. I think next week has a very, very good chance of this thing happening, and I will tell you why. But before we tell you why, if you do the first 2 weeks of January, stretching to the mid of January, I think you could do a late April release. I really do. It's a bit unconventional, but video games are kind of in an unconventional thing right now. Nintendo's kind of an unconventional company where they're like, hey, here's Metroid Prime Remastered. Oh, by the way, it's out today. Like, people are going to buy the stuff. People are going to do things like that. But here is why I think it's coming sooner rather than later. I'm sure you've all seen this. Nintendo of Japan over on the Twitter sphere. So Donkey Kong, I saw somebody say Donkey Kong comes out on the 16th of next week. So you would think that Nintendo of Japan would be like, all right, let's get that Donkey Kong banner up there, like Nintendo of America has. No, here's their new banner that they just changed it to today. 2 fucking Italians, 2 Guidos pointing at nothing, saying, hey, look at this, motherfucker. What do you think about this? Well, what is it? Hey, it's a white void. And once again, watch my video tomorrow. But you can see that there is clearly a texture. It's very light to the eyes, but there is a texture that goes around here. And then this is a white void. What are you pointing at? You're not pointing at anything. There's a reason why this has been changed today to the banner. Now,
Sean, it was also pointed out that exact banner.
Oh yeah, was the same
was the same during the Switch 1 reveal, which is kind of crazy. That's Nintendo teasing.
Did they have anything like in the middle there?
No, it was like from what I saw on Reddit, somebody went in the Wayback Machine and confirmed that exact same banner was exactly what their banner was when they revealed Switch 1 all those years back.
Couple of wops, exactly. So yeah, you're doing something here. Like I call it in tomorrow's video. This is pretty much a tease, because this is a tease. You are teasing something. So I don't think it's. I think it's going to be something that you probably got a day or two to the announcement, and then they'll say, okay, well, we're gonna do it then. But I don't think they. I almost want to say they don't really care about how Donkey Kong does. Like, I don't think that game is a big enough game to where they care about. If they sell 500,000 copies of that, which they will, which is a goddamn shame. But if they sell 500,000 copies of that, I guarantee you that they made their money back and then some, and they will be happy with it. And it'll probably sell, 2.5 mil by the time it's dead. Like,
are you buying it day one?
No, I'm never buying that game. I'll steal that. Well, no, current
every
RDT.
Donkey Kong game on Switch.
Huge.
I'm too much of a fan. I'm part of the problem. I'm paying 64 at day one.
I would pay 80.
Yeah.
Wait, what? Donkey Kong 64 is on the Switch? When did that happen?
Yeah, that's
missing.
And Nintendo had the audacity to put out a Donkey Kong.
Yeah.
Like the whole series playable on the Switch, and it's like you couldn't, like, we'd have other rare games on the Switch Online. Like you couldn't line up DK64 and then drop that video.
I mean, y'all can spend your money how you want. I am just a little bit more frugal than some people. But no, I have literally have negative interest in this game. But it's a port. Oh, Forever Entertainment is making the port? Oh, fuck. If that's the case, dude, then yeah. They deal with ports and lower budget stuff. Exactly, Memphis. but yeah, so if you're not out there promoting that, you're out there, look at this, like you're doing something. And I don't think Donkey Kong, because you got to remember, you could always say, oh yeah, you could show for the backwards compatibility sizzle reel if you want to do it a little bit before Donkey Kong comes out next week. You go, oh yeah, look, your Donkey Kong Country Returns HD will work just as fine on this thing. So
you think next week they put out a tweet and they're like, okay, tomorrow, like direct presentation, Switch 2 reveal, and then the next day they go live and it's just out. And
no, I think 2 days. I think they do a 2-day run up.
Okay. Wow.
What if the banner is just something about Xenoblade X Definitive Edition? What does the banner have to do with it? Like, why would you not just put, hey, yo, Xenoblade? Like, why would you have Mario and Luigi pointing at a void to showcase that instead of just having, the art and then the release date of that game? Because that game is, very high on my anticipation list because I would like to play it on a system that doesn't feel like it's going to explode running the game. But no, I mean, when you're 2 games for January and March are games that already exist, games that are low risk, high reward stuff, I don't think you're factoring that in. I saw somebody say something about the Botox games, pointed out the Switch 1 was announced on the same day as the 3DS game. Like, yeah, I don't think that they necessarily, they're really worried about it. If we got a Super Mario 64 remake, I would be in heaven. I would love to see that game
that'd be awesome
with some visuals. And yes, Xeno Wilder says that there's a rumor that there's a new Xenoblade XDE trailer coming. Yes, and I do think that is going to happen, but I don't think that has anything to necessarily to do with how they're going to be doing things. I don't think that. Go ahead.
Do you think they would announce a direct and then, like, how lately they've been like, no Switch 2 news is going to be happening here, and then they just have the direct, announce whatever's the new, show the new trailer for Xenoblade, promote Donkey Kong, and then show off the Switch 2?
No, you don't need a. They're not doing a direct for those games. They've already done the trailers for Donkey Kong. Donkey Kong comes out next week.
Right.
They're shipping that shit out the door. They're shipping Xenoblade. Xenoblade could pop up in a February direct or something like that, because this, if the timeline thinks of how I'm now envisioning the timeline, next week or early the week after that, you do your initial video for it, 4 minutes long, get people's appetites wet. February, you do a direct. In that February direct, you could talk about Xenoblade, or you could skip it and just show Switch 2 stuff. And if what is being said is true, potentially April, maybe May, something like that, you drop the system. And like, that's a perfect run up for you. You got to remember there's they already confirmed the backwards compatibility. So it's not like these games will necessarily suffer. Yeah, people might have moved on from the Switch, but you might still pick it up.
Right. They can just show it running on the new system pretty easily.
Yeah, something like that.
I'm also on this train more than ever before, because the 2 things. One, Sean, I received, and they're small companies, so unlike yours, it's a known brand, but I have 2 different emails in my inbox that's asking about Switch 2 accessory promotion at the end of February, which again, why are you paying those dollars if you're not going to have a console to launch? And at the very least, Genki and the accessory manufacturers that were at CES, what they're saying, according to them, is that they believe the console is coming out in April. And that's right. Also what Next Handheld heard. There's a lot of different data points that are starting to line up for April. And I also think that because of how much we're seeing the console leak before it's been revealed, it proves that Nintendo's been in mass production for a while. And so they're actually going to be able to, deliver on a shorter reveal to release window. Because we had leaks with Switch 1, but it wasn't like this, So, and we got that October trailer and then a March launch. So,
I got another email from a company about stuff that I did not notice. What the hell is this? What the fuck is this? I can't show
it on screen for us.
They've confirmed it's an NDA. So.
I guess if you do mention, okay. fuck. It's got their image on it, their branding on it though, and I already said it was from an email. I'm not supposed to say that. It's a new page was published on their website, showing off some accessories. Yeah, that's exactly how this happened. I don't know what the fuck I'm looking at here. I do not know what the fuck I am looking at. And hopefully one of you two will know because you're smarter than me. Here is exclusive image. Present, share screen. Oh fuck! It says it in the goddamn. Okay, hold on. Let me download the picture. Well, I mean, it has their brand
Send it
on
to me on Twitter.
No,
I'll
I
look.
got it.
Okay.
I downloaded the picture.
Shout out Chris, member for 4 months. We appreciate you while you do this. RGT Cinders, 1999. Thank you. February 25th makes sense for me. Announce many with the Q3 release. Mario Luigi banner is a red herring? Question mark.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, it could be. Hey, you know what? Look at that. Erase that. Save as a copy. Did it erase the brand name of it? No, it didn't. I'm trying to draw over the brand name. Give me just a second here. Mark up. Can I do that? Give me a black marker. Yeah. Drawing a squiggly line. All right, perfect. That will work just fine. All right, so this is a mysterious thing, and I don't know what the fuck it is, and I'm hoping somebody here does. What is... Wait, no, that's the wrong...
Oh, that's a Switch OLED, Sean.
Yeah, why is it sharing that screen? Hold on, wrong screen. Present, share screen, window. There we go. What is this?
What in the world?
What is this?
Pull and swipe.
What is this?
Is that the only idea that I have is that like a screen protector
That's what I was thinking.
application thing. Have you ever put on one of those weird screen protector to a phone and it covers the body of the phone and you just like pull it off so that way you don't get
so
dust?
that top part is probably the applicator. But
Okay.
Hypothetically, if this is for the Switch 2, there's a Switch 2 on the bottom of that. So that second render over there.
Okay. All right, cool. Let me see if there's any other interesting images in here, because that really it looked like a fucking credit card swiper or some shit. I was like, all right, that's
the new gimmick is you can directly link your bank transactions to Nintendo eShop, and they know where you spend all your money.
All right. Okay. Let me see if there's anything else that's kind of unique that hasn't been.
What do we think Nate knows?
He knows.
And if he's filming tonight, what is that? Is that why you think next week? No.
he'll make his video will come up tomorrow. He knows what there is to know. But okay, the other stuff is fine. It's just kind of showing off. I can show this, just the Joycon stuff. This was not sent by any. Why can't I download? What the fuck? This was not sent. Well, whatever, dude. I'll just put it up here. This was not sent by anyone. It was discovered naturally. No, Nate's not at CES. He's a hermit like me. Just showing off the Joycon, the magnetic thing of it. I mean, really, if you think about it, you could think about what we were talking about with a case and this kind of keeping it into the back of it. Just some interesting renders that I got sent. Shut up, medallion. Interesting renders that I got sent from there. But yeah, so, these companies, because I was, when you said that you got some emails from companies, like, oh, let me see if I got it, because I didn't check my emails today because I've been a lazy fuck. And yeah, there was quite Oh, 1099. I don't have my 1099 yet. All right, that's not fun stuff. Let me check my other email and see if there's anything interesting in there, because that is probably where the email came from. Why do you Okay, let me stop just talking here. Oh wait.
I guess the question is too, in my mind, is would the supply chain, because it sounds like this April time is coming from the supply chain, like that's where the accessory manufacturers are getting it. So the question is like, does the supply chain that's creating it know the launch window? You know, like, I mean, I would assume they have a loose idea, but is it off by a month and it's actually May?
You know, it could be, but I feel like because okay, see, here's the thing about, companies showing up at CES. Like, that's not free. You've got to get a booth. You've got to have your products. You've got to have this, that, or the other. Like, there is money being spent there. And if you're showing off stuff already, like, because CES, a lot of people don't realize this. CES used to be kind of like, especially in the 90s, it was kind of like a a kind of a mini E3 situation where like there would be like games and companies and shit like that, like showing off new stuff. And obviously it's changed over the years, but I think this is interesting because it almost kind of harkens back to that. Like, when was the last time, like, CES? The only time I've ever talked about CES was really back in the Arcade 1-Up days, when they were actually making interesting shit, because it was a whole situation where it was like, oh, these are the new cabs that they're showing off at CES this year, like the NBA jams and stuff like that. So I like this. I think this is fun. I think this is leading up to some good stuff. And I don't know, man. Every day that kind of goes by, I'm kind of becoming more of an April guy. I won't be surprised if it's not April, but if it is April, now I don't think I'll be as surprised. AJ.MP3 with a $4.99. Wind Waker and Twilight Princess ports at launch, and Ocarina of Time remake for the series' 40th anniversary in 2026. Also, do you think Pro controllers are compatible with the Switch 2? Wind Waker and Twilight Princess is something that I think we all think exists, but we just hate talking about it because we've kind of talked about it ad nauseum for years now. I don't necessarily see those as a launch title for a Switch 2. I think that's to keep Switch fans happy, and you can also play it. Like, I don't think it'll use because that's a whole nother fucking mystery, is upgrades. Are there going to be upgrades for games that currently exist on the Switch? Are there going to be dedicated upgrades for these games that you'll potentially have to pay money for? They're going to be, deluxe editions of these games that release. That's a big mystery. And the fact that like there's this much excitement now over a fucking screen protector, like, this shit's going to be fucking crazy, bro. Ishka Boy with $1.99. Did you start the Cali fires because we booed Hogan? Honestly, the way I saw it was you were booing Jimmy Hart, because Jimmy Hart's got beef, out there. And hey, you know what? I want to say things, but it's not very appropriate. But no, I did not start the fire. It's always burning since the world's been turning. But yeah, if you're out in Cali, make sure you stay safe out there. It's not looking very pretty out there right now, but hopefully everything works out. Rest of the country is getting hit with cold and shit. It's just crazy fucking weather. But yeah, so we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. We will be doing an after show. I believe Josie has to dip out, so it'll just be the boys. So if you are a channel member, and Josie, if you could post that on the community tab. If you are a channel member or a Patreon member, make sure you come by. We'll hang out for about 30 minutes or so. Just shoot the shit. You can ask whatever, and we will be answering them. Sunbro, thanks for coming on, man. Tell people where they can find you at.
Yeah, absolutely. Sunbro Nation on literally everything. I'm only active on YouTube. It's like 6 to 7 videos a week with a lot of Nintendo Switch 2 news right now. I promise you we will cover games once we figure out games in Nintendo's lineup that is not a remake or remaster. So that should be coming soon. But other than that, yeah, news, speculation, rumors, all that good stuff. And then X is the only other platform that I'm active on, just because that's what gives me a lot of the news that I stay up to date with. So those are the 2 places to find me.
And Josie, where can everyone find you besides blowing your nose?
Right here and on YouTube, Josie Woah.
Now,
Put out a video today.
Are you going to make a Shenmue video when you finish it up?
I think I will. I was worried in the beginning because I didn't like it that much, but now I'm having a good time. So probably.
Wait till you get to the forklift. That might change your mind a little bit. But remember, you have to work sometimes in life, and that is a job and stuff. Thank you to all the 400 plus people who came to hang out with us. It's good to be back. We will be back in 2 weeks, maybe something next week. I don't know. Maybe emergency show. I don't really know. Make sure you check me out, RGT85. Thank you for watching all these Switch 2 videos, because the fucking views have been crazy on those lately. And check out the second channel. Made an announcement about a new podcast because 2 isn't enough for me to do. And we'll see you soon. All right, bye.
Bye.